let me say good morning. Good morning to Grenada, Carriacou, Petit Martinique. Welcome to another edition of To The Point, today being Tuesday. It's the 31st day. It's the final day within the month of January. Yeah. We're not going to have another 31st of January within the year 2023. No, we won't. Anyway, good morning once again and welcome. It's Opposition Tuesday here on To The Point for today. And I have with me this morning a member of the opposition party, a member of the executive. That's Ms. Brenda Hood. She's with us this morning. And she's also the chairperson of the women's arm of the New National Party. So we'll be having a chit-chat with her for the next hour, and certainly hope you could stick around and, of course, listen to some of the information that she will put out, and of course, some of the questions I'll be throwing out to her also. So welcome once again. Let's go over to Ms. Hood and say good morning. Ms. Hood, good morning and welcome. How are you?
Good morning, and thank you for having me here this morning. It's quite a while I haven't been here.
Yes.
And it's good to see you as the host.
Good to see you also.
Yes. It's a pleasure being here.
It's been a while. It's certainly been a while. So how have you been keeping anyway? How have you been keeping?
Very well. I retired in March of last year from work.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm doing things around the house, getting involved in other, groups, helping people when I can, and just doing my exercise for sure.
Well,
because I have to stay fit, Yeah.
You certainly have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
If you stop, you know what's the consequences of that, right?
That's what they say.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Well, welcome once again. And as I mentioned in the intro this morning, you're the chairperson of the women's arm of the New National Party.
Yes.
Tell us about the women's arm of the New National Party. Is it the functionality of it? How is it going? I mean, we on the basics of it as we get into the conversation this morning.
Well, I guess I should go back from COVID time because that's when we had a lot of slowdown in those activities. Mm-hmm. And we used to have meetings, but we did it by Zoom.
Okay.
So we met with the chairpersons and stuff like that because, you were control in terms of what you can do, where you can do it. And so far, many of the groups in the various constituencies are functioning, but not as they used to. Mm-hmm. Some of them do fundraising. Some of them help people in their community. I know for the independence that is coming up, a few of them are having activities, whether it's a breakfast, a luncheon, mm-hmm. a party on the beach, a party in the park. They're having various things. But the National Women's Arm is not having anything specifically at this time.
Okay. That leads to the question that I wanted to ask. The New National Party have lost the elections in 2022. They lost the elections. So I was wanted to find out the functionality, how these particular groups within the party, how they are functioning. And you said most of them still has going on. Mm-hmm. They still have whatever is going on with them. Mm-hmm. But you're saying maybe not on a
massive
scale as
they used to. And this is something that we are looking at. Mm-hmm. And we do have a subcommittee of the National Women's Arm also, which we will be meeting to discuss the way forward.
All right.
Going forward for this year in particular.
Okay, great. Independence is coming up. Mm-hmm. What are some of the activities the party is planning on having?
Well, I know that the individual constituencies are mm-hmm. doing different things. I know that as I mentioned earlier, one is having a breakfast in St. David's, mm-hmm. breakfast and luncheon. That will be this weekend coming up.
Right.
And I know that in St. Andrews, another one will be having activities, and I think people from the St. David's would be joining them. But that is not on Saturday. That's another day where they will be playing games and having a good time. And throughout the country, there will be activities among themselves, the various constituencies. Right. That being said, it's low-key compared to what we are accustomed to, mm-hmm. but I'm certain that with time, it will get larger and larger. And in particular, so many of these people who were very active doing the work for the party are unemployed. Right. So then the resources are not there for them to do as much as they're accustomed to. But they're doing and they're trying, and we are happy that this is happening. But I am happy to say that I'm pleased with the women who are assisting. Some of them very vulnerable, but they're doing what they can, because as they say, whatever you have, you share with others.
Sure, that's certainly a good way of doing things. Now, let me ask you this, as we on the notion of women. in general, being part of the National Party. Recently, there's been a lot of talk in the media pertaining to, the Gloria Farmers and the Delma Farmers and, collaboration, as some folks will call it. How do you feel about it on a personal level?
Well, first of all, I haven't spoken with any of the persons that you have named, and I believe that as adults, we make our decisions and we have to live by it. So if this is something that they are comfortable with, so be it. I'm not too sure if I would have done it that way if I was given a position at that time. But the fact is that this is a decision that these are adults that they have made, and I do hope that it works out in the best interest of all.
All right. I mean, it's done for the benefit of the people. I'm assuming you see.
Well, I would. I hope so. And it's not as an individual what I can get out of it, but what I can do for the people of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique.
Okay, a great way of answering it there. Now let's just trot back a wee bit in some issues before we diverge in a lot of the conversation we want to spend on time on this morning. Tell me, the new National Party have the convention. I know that they should be holding a convention. What's your take on is there a date has been set for it? Is there a timeline? Tell me, what's in terms of it? Will the party be holding a convention this year?
Well, of course, we will be having a convention. The dates have not been set, but how it goes is this. You have to have the General Council first. So the first thing that will be done when the time comes will be the General Council, and then the convention is held. And that is what our Constitution says. So whatever we do is what the Constitution has said to us to do, and this is what will be happening. We haven't discussed dates or anything like that, but I believe it's in people's mind. They know that this is something that will be
So there's a process that it follows.
Exactly. You can't just wake up and say, I want to have a convention. You must have the General Council first, and then you have the the convention after. But these are, it's going to take a while because you have to mobilize. Remember, after an election, people go different ways, and I guess they're hurt, they're angry, they're not pleased. You have to mobilize, you have to work with them, bring them back in, and do what is necessary.
You lead me into asking you another question. Now, how do you feel about the party loss in the June 2023 election? How do you feel about it on a personal level?
Well, I always say that we live in a democratic state, and an election, especially here in Grenada, it's a democratic process. It wasn't a coup. People decided they wanted a change. They voted for this new party, new government that is in office. Some of them didn't vote. Many of NNP people didn't go out and vote. But the fact is now, many of them are complaining that, if I had known what. But it is what it is. I think my thing is that the current administration must do and work in the interests of every Grenadian. This is why because when you are elected, it's not the people who voted for you are there to serve. You're there to serve the whole of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique, whether they voted for you or not. And this is what governments have to do and should do.
All right. I'm assuming you've been having conversation with individuals here and there over the past couple of months after elections. There is that talk from, that been folks are forecasting that, maybe there's going to be the demise of the new National Party. I see you smiling and say that. Probably in a similar fashion to the GLP. What is your party doing to ensure that doesn't really happen?
Well, with regards to the demise, I think this is what some people may wish, that are not part of the new National Party. But the new National Party is a very strong party. Although they lost the election, look at how many times we have won, and we have won by 5, by 6 or 7. We have won all of the seats. And I got involved in the new National Party in 1998. That's a long time.
Yes.
And I have seen the growth of the party. They have brought in persons from different, sector of the community. They have brought in professionals. They have brought in ordinary people. And the new National Party at this time do have a leadership. The leader of the opposition, Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell, who is a very good leader, because he would not be where he is today. I know he's in opposition, but for the times that he has won the election in terms of all of the seats, he would not have done that. Tell me which other party has done this in Grenada. None. So it tells me that the new National Party has a base that we have to build on, and this is what we will be doing over the next months.
No, your answer has suddenly led me to ask you another question. Leadership within the New National Party. Individuals are feeling that the talk is out there. You hear it in the street, you hear it on the media, in the social media, etc. People are saying it's time for the opposition leader, as you mentioned a while ago, it's time for him probably to hang up his boots and or call it quits for now. What is your personal take on that?
Well, he has said that this is his last. He'll be stepping down. He has said that, so I don't think that's an issue. I think what has to happen now, once the party has identified a new leader, then we all have to galley and work with these people and work with that person to make sure we continue the work of the New National Party and to make sure that we bring in as many persons into the party. We need to bring in more younger people to the party because, the whole thing about elections and politics is a continuum. You have to make sure as the older ones move out, young ones come in and you build your party. And to say to the people who you will be working with that you care about them. Whatever you do will be in the interest of those people. So I don't have a problem, and I'm certain our political leader do not have a problem about the leadership because he has said so to everyone that, he will not be taking part in another election.
All right.
He's stepping down.
All right, that's understandable. We due for our first break. Let's take it and we come back shortly. It's Opposition Tuesday here on To The Point for today. Let's take a break, folks. We're coming right back.
I want you folks to play these 3 games from the NLA. Daily pick 3 cash flow and play with. You will be supporting sports and culture, nation building and our future. So go out and play, folks, make it a must. You will see what the National Lottery is doing for us. When you play pick 3 cash flow and play with, the NLA will support you all the way.
Starting September 30th, Monday to Friday, these 3 games will be drawn mid-morning, 9:45 a.m., midday, 12:45 p.m., and evenings, 7:45 p.m. The National Lotteries, supporting sports, culture, and nation building.
Sandy Manity.
Rep your colors. Hot 98 presents the 473 Colors Boat Ride. Going down on Saturday, February 4. Get your tickets now at gotofed.com for only $65. Food included. Boarding time 7 p.m. The boat sails at 7:30. Music on board by the Hot 98 DJs plus other guest DJs.
Baby, calm down, calm down.
Rep your colors on the boat, cause this one here is gonna be epic. Lock the date, Saturday, February 4th, Hot 98, 473 Colors Boat Ride. Don't you miss this.
Did you know that our changing climate is disrupting weather patterns and continues to cause more intense weather systems? Did you know that at least 3/4 of natural disasters are water-related and their intensity and frequency is increasing? Did you know that rising sea levels can cause our fresh water to become contaminated or salty? These are just some of the realities that will be examined in our new series, Our Climate Reality, which premieres on Wednesday, February 1st from 8 p.m. on all GBN platforms. Our Climate Reality will engage local, regional, and international stakeholders in this fight to preserve our planet and our most precious resources. Our Climate Reality, brought to you in part by the Grenada Climate Resilient Water Sector and Habats.
This is where I say welcome back to listeners and viewers this morning. I didn't mention our viewers via social media platform this morning, Facebook. Those who are viewing also via the YouTube channel. Let me wish you a humble day, and certainly hope all is well. Welcome back, Ms. Brenda Hood. Once again, welcome back to the point this morning. And we wrapped up a while ago in terms of our conversation. We spoke pertaining to the opposition leader. Now, my next line of question that I would like to ask you about is that what are your thoughts on the NDC or government's performance thus far? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, you know, the current administration won the last election in June. During their campaign, they promised lots to the people of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. However, it appears that they, suffers from short memories because some of the promises are not there anymore. For instance, you have where they told many of the persons who were on contract that when they were campaigning, they said so, that they will give them permanency. And if I'm on a contract position for a lot of years and someone say to me, well, I'm going to make you permanent is obvious. I'm going to give that person my vote. Mm-hmm. Then you have where they have said a lot of stuff on their campaign trail. However, when come down to reality, because campaigning is completely different than governing a country. So you make those promises, hoping that I will win, but, I'll try my best. But a lot of people vote for things that they hear during campaign, and when the campaign is over and whichever government comes into office, they expect what they said becomes a reality. But we have seen that this is not happening. Well, they did say, and the NMP did also say that the pension issue would be settled, which was settled, and that is good for the people who got their annuities and so. But one of the concerns that I really, really have is the seed program.
Yes.
And this is a program that, because, when you do a budget, it is for a period of time. It ends in December. Mm-hmm. And then you start again, okay? So the thing about it is that in January, this is January, today's the last day of the month, all of the persons that were getting the seed program, some of them, the disabled, some of them, not all of them, some of them, they have taken $150. They have taken the $150 for most of them. And some of the people who only got it for a period of time, like persons with disabilities, persons, who would have liked to have it and didn't, because I know of a few persons who started to get it in March of last year, and they're no longer getting anything anymore. And they are saying that, well, that was it. The NMP had put the end of December, but as a government, and I know how it works because I've been in cabinet, I've been in parliament, I've been a senator, when you're doing a budget, prior to bringing it out to the ordinary people, you get into your cabinet and you discuss it. So if the Ministry of Finance come and they present something, a draft to you, you have to look out for your people in your various ministries.
But just to get in again with this one, but government, the Honorable Prime Minister, did also say that the measure, it was temporary. It was a temporary measure from the previous administration.
That's what he said. Mm-hmm. But how did he know this? Did he discuss it with them?
Did he discuss it with the previous administration?
That's what I'm saying. You mean they discuss it with the government, the staff and the ministry, because the budget, it was in the budget, but it ends in January, right? December, January.
They were saying that it should have ended in December of last year.
Yeah, right. But what they should have done, if you're a caring government, if you care about people, because remember, these are vulnerable people. These are people who perhaps don't even know where their next meal is coming from, some of them, and therefore they need the support. And therefore, you need to make sure that you put in your budget for the next year, which is 2023, support for these persons, because you have to find a way to find the money to help these people, because remember, governments do have a responsibility to take care of these people. You don't want to have, for instance, these young women now who are getting support for their children who are going to school to help pay for the bus transportation. Some of them have disabilities and stuff like that. What are we saying to these mothers? And remember, in Grenada, a very large percentage of the women in Grenada, single mothers, heads of household, have children to look after. The elderly have made their contribution to Grenada. So if you have to take out something, why 150? Why not maybe 50 and leave them with 100? Because they have to live. They have to buy food. Some of them children goes to school. They go. I understand also that there are some children who are not going to school now because they can't afford. They don't have the transportation money, and that is not right. We have to educate our population. The majority of Grenadians are from ordinary parents. However, some of us have reached to the top or reached higher because we were given opportunities. And therefore, you should not be taking away those opportunities. And you need to help these elderly people. They have contributed towards the development of Grenada. They may not have had an office job, but they did. They had children. They brought children into the world. Some of them did gardening. And at this point in time, you need to help them. And I am very disappointed in this. And and the Women's Arm wants to join with all of the other organizations that are condemning this move and saying that the government need to rethink their decision and to see what they can do to assist these ordinary people.
Is this a call? Is this a call from the New National Party?
Exactly. The New National Party is saying this should not be, so let us look at ways in which we can reinstate the funds, whether it's 100, 125. But my God, you didn't even say to them, that's what I was told. You didn't say, because I'm talking from persons who they took the 150 from. They talked to me and said these things. And I've also heard it from members of the party and stuff like that. They didn't say, okay, well, we will be taking it out temporarily. I also heard that the minister who is responsible for this said, well, if they don't want the reduction, then maybe we should just give a few of them so they can get the full amount. But when you take some out, how are they going to live? Where are they going to get the money from? Remember, the cost of electricity has skyrocketed now. And it's for them also because they would have electricity in their homes. So how are they supposed to live? The fact is that we are very much aware that the economy is not as it used to be. All around the world, people are complaining that things are tough, things are hard. Many of their relatives, perhaps, who used to send them remittances and so, may not be in the position to help them as they used to anymore. So where are they going to get these funds from to do what is necessary to live, And this is why we are saying this is a wrong move that was made by this current administration.
Okay, understandably so. Now, another concern that I was brought to your attention from the New National Party is the sense of job loss in Grenada.
Exactly. Only last night I heard a member of parliament, an MP member of parliament, was saying in the constituency, in the area where she's, over 88 persons lost their jobs. 88 in total lost their job because they were doing different things, government, but they were doing it at the constituency level.
Is it more females? Or
most of them were female because, as I said before, in Grenada, and I'm certain in other parts of the Caribbean, heads of household are headed by women. Women are, most of the time, they are headed. There are few men, there are men who head they are heads of household, but the majority are women. And these women have to take care of their families. And they need the support. So when you send these women home, what are you doing? Sending them on the streets? Is
there any information that came out that would reference to the type of jobs that were lost?
I can, of course, there will be information. We can get it from the person that said so last night. And I'm certain the other constituencies would know. I know for sure there were some people who were doing the debushing is another thing that I talk about. This is a temporary thing, happens 3 times a year. This year it didn't. So these people, and these people didn't have enough resources to help themselves. And in Grenada and the rest of the Caribbean, and even in North America, I hear it all the time. When an ordinary person receives money, they spend it. They don't put it in the bank. They spend the money that they have. The middle class and the upper class save a lot. But a lot of the ordinary people use the money to buy for cost of, rent, to buy food, to buy clothing, to send the children to school. And this is it. So a lot of people, there were people who were doing brigades, they call them in the communities, that I think they would have the house repair program, so they would help people build that stuff.
But hasn't that brigade been going on still?
They have fired quite a few of them. Quite a few of them, I've been told. They have fired quite a few of them. Because I asked the question, because I wouldn't come and speak if I didn't know or heard from them. They have fired quite a few of them. Then there were...
But the government did mention it was a restructuring of the brigade in terms of how the functionality of it.
The government said it was a restructuring. Well, if that's the case, they need to speed up on it so they can start again, you know? They can start again. But a lot of these people stopped working since in July of last year.
Now, tell me, why do you think that with the present administration, do you think there's any way that they have fallen short?
Well, I think the thing about it, when they came into office, they said there was lots of money in the treasury, right? There was money. Of course there is money. So you have to think about down the road. What do I do? Do I spend all of this, or do I put aside something for the rainy day, you know? But the thing about it is you have to be able to deal with the people, the most vulnerable in your country. And I think that they have fell short on this, especially at this time with these persons who they have removed the $150 from.
And you think that's one of the critical areas?
Very much so, because that's how they live. If they don't have food to eat, what do? There are people out there who sometimes don't have a meal. If they can get $100 and $300, $400, at least they can buy enough to put aside so that the rainy day, when things are tough, they have a few dollars, yes, but the fact is that they can eat every day. Mothers can give their kids a meal to go to school, because the worst thing is to go to school and you don't have a good meal. You can't study, you can't learn. You have to eat well. And this government of the New National Party over the years have helped as many persons as possible. So many young people have received scholarships to go all around the world thanks to the New National Party. We have done a lot for the Grenadian community, for the Grenadian people. And I think this current administration need to take stock and say, how can I improve on what I'm doing? You made all these promises, but you're not delivering, and people are complaining. You know, and these are people who said that they voted for them. They are complaining. So why aren't they doing what they said they would do?
All right. Well, we drew for another break. Let's take it. We come back and get into the discussion some more. It's To The Point. It's Opposition Tuesday. We have the Honourable, should I not say the Honourable? It's Brenda. Somehow I'm still thinking Honourable in my mind. Forgive me for that.
If I lived in Canada, they would call me the Honourable.
They will still call you the Honourable. All right. We have Brenda with us this morning. We're coming back. She's representing the New National Party. She's the chairperson of the Women's Arm. We're coming right back after the break. Stay with us.
GBN Television News at 7, a pulse on all things Grenadian. Look out for our new features through expanded synergies with our media partners in Barbados, St. Lucia, Jamaica, Trinidad, and beyond. Capturing the latest in news, sports, weather, and entertainment. Credible, informative. Thank you for making us number one. News at 7, live, Monday to Friday on GBN Television, Channel 7 and 11. K105.5 and 105.9, Hot 98.5 and 98.7, GBN Television Facebook page and YouTube channel, and www.gbn.gd. GBN, with you anywhere and everywhere.
You know, one day I woke up and, you know, they painted a set of pedestrian crossing all along the streets. You know, nobody told us how to use that thing properly.
I know how.
You're serious?
Every safe, good driver knows about these things. As a driver, you have to be very attentive. You know you're coming up close to a pedestrian cross, you start slowing down immediately, looking to see if there's any pedestrian on the side getting ready to cross. If there is, you stop on the line that is a certain distance before the crosswalk. Then you would see the pedestrian put their hands out, looking directly at you, indicating that they are going to cross. And only when you have come to a complete stop, that is when they will quickly and safely cross to the other side. And then you continue happily on your journey.
Stop, look, hand out, eye contact, wait for pedestrian to cross. Then you happily continue on your journey.
This message is brought to you by this group of insurance companies, the Traffic Advisory Body, and the Traffic Department.
Feel good facts.
Help prevent cold and flu by washing your hands with soap and water for at least 20 seconds. That's the time it takes to remove most germs. No soap and water? No worries when you've got alcohol-based hand sanitizer.
Say welcome back to our listeners and viewers this morning to the point for today, Tuesday, the 31st day of January. It's Opposition Tuesday here on To The Point this morning. And I have Ms. Brenda Hood with us this morning, and she's representing the new National Party. She's the chairperson of the women's arm of the new National Party. And coming up in this segment, we also will be inviting your phone calls. So if you're a listener or a viewer over there, whether you're listening via Classic or you're viewing via GBN TV, the number is 435-2041. If you're viewing on the TV, I guess you will see the number on the screen, 435-2041. That's the number you can use to call, and we'll be entertaining your phone calls. Just give me, I just have a few more questions I would like to ask Ms. Hood, and then we entertain your phone calls. Listen, I want to get into a particular. In the last administration, you were an advisor in the Ministry of Tourism.
Minister of Tourism.
Minister of Tourism.
I was the advisor to the Minister of Tourism.
You was an advisor to the Minister of Tourism.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm assuming that you are now looking at how tourism is in Grenada. What different, or what would you advise the Ministry of Tourism now to focus a whole lot on now, if the opportunity was still prevalent for you?
That's a question. The thing about it is, first of all, I think that the GTA, that's the Grenada Tourism Authority, they are trying their best.
Yes.
In terms of, elections were held in June, so it's just 6 months down the road. But I strongly believe that the Minister of Tourism, because I I was responsible also prior to that for civil aviation, and the former Minister of Tourism, Honorable Clarence Modest Kerwin, was also for civil aviation. I think what is necessary, though, is that they really spend some time on focus on interregional tourism, where the airlines travel, because for years we have been talking about that, and we haven't been able to get it on stream.
Well, just chipping in. Why hasn't we always have that proper flight connection in terms of you being an advisor, you being a former Minister of Tourism? Why have we never had that?
Well, you see, Grenada alone cannot have an airline just traveling. The airline must travel to some other destination. They come to Grenada, they go to different places and stuff like that. Plus, it's very costly to operate an airline. I believe what has to happen, and I said so many, many years ago when I was Minister for Tourism, so this is not an issue that occurred yesterday. It has been ongoing, that the region needs to come together. However, we had LEAD for a while, and LEAD did make a difference for a while for us, and the fact is that some of the islands had most shares than others, but you knew what took place with LEAD. LEAD no longer exists. But I believe that the region needs to come together and see what can be done. The Caribbean, CARICOM, see what needs to be done to make sure that intra-Caribbean tourism benefits, and we have it happening in Grenada, because you have the small hoteliers that are here, they can benefit, homestay, they can benefit, and larger hotels. And it is so costly traveling within the region right now. If you want to go to Trinidad, it's over $1,000 return. You can go to Miami and back. and it's cheaper. So all of the leadership, all of the ministers within the region needs to come together and come up with a policy as to what can be done so that we have proper flying of airlines through the region so that the people can benefit. It is very disturbing what is happening now. And it's not that it's only started today, it has been around for quite a while.
You know, another issue that seems to be a talking point lately is in terms of our sites on island. You folks would say the new National Party was in government, maybe lots was not done in terms of improving our sites where the visitors who come to the island. You see, and you know, you as yourself as a Grenadian living, you visit those sites and sometimes it's not even that attractive. And why was not a lot of emphasis put in at that time, maybe when you were doing the advising, or maybe when you were a minister? Why not a lot of advising, especially our national sites where we go out and we have the visitor coming to visit? Why wasn't a lot of attention put into that?
I wouldn't agree with you 100% that not a lot of effort was put into it, because remember, all of the government sites had the staff. The Ministry of Tourism was responsible for most of the sites, and they had staff and they did. But remember, we had Ivan, right? Everything, Granny Tang, everything was destroyed. Grenada built back, we built back better than it was, okay? Then we had COVID for the last 3 years. So all of the plans that they had to do was put on hold. There were business people that came into the country to do certain things, projects. But because of COVID, many of them pulled out. So it is not just government, but the private sector, in my opinion, should also get involved. Why don't they lease? I know that Annandale was leased to some private sector here in Grenada, but there are properties that private people can lease. So it doesn't have to be always government. In Jamaica, most of the sites are not owned by government. It's the private sector. So I am calling on the private sector to get involved, get more involved. They can lease, and I'm certain this is something that needs to be considered so that government doesn't have the responsibility of taking care of everything.
All right. I agree with you there. This segment, we're going to, of course, invite viewers and listeners of it. If you do have a question or two that you'd like to ask Ms. Hood, I'm assuming she will be happy to answer you. So the number, once again, 435-2041. We do have a first caller. Let's go over and say good morning to the caller. Caller, good morning and welcome.
Morning.
Good morning.
Yeah. Mrs. Hood, you're so concerned about the poor and vulnerable. The houses you accumulate, could you sell one and assist with the people who are poor and vulnerable? Thank you.
Back to the...
Let me answer him.
Yes, you want to answer?
I'm not aware that you purchased some homes for me, but if you did, then perhaps you can sell them.
All right. Let's take another caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning to you.
And to your followers and to your guests. Good morning, Mrs. Hood. It hurts me when I hear of poverty, and I see it every day. And many times, people like myself and my relatives have had to step out and to render assistance to folks, because there is a lot of poverty. There is an awful lot of, problems in our society. The poverty is one, the neglect of the children, and they are vulnerable in other ways apart from just in terms of the poverty. And it is sad that after over a quarter century of the leadership that your guest is touting has been so very good, this is the situation in Grenada. There is so much dependency, and there is so much need, so much vulnerability, while, as we're learning bit by bit, folks are getting $1,000 a shot for $10,000, I should say, for finder's fees. And so many perks are going to certain people repeatedly while they're in office and receiving their salaries and other things. It is sad that at one end you have that amount of, wealth being shared, and at the other end, so many people are suffering. Now, on the matter of the 150, very sad that if this was meant to be a permanent thing, that the new government should change it. But as we heard from the Prime Minister, it was not provided for in the budget. and it was mentioned afterwards. And I would say to you, if it was there before and it was established and taken away, that would be very, very sad. And it's either way, it hurts. However, this NNP government is noted for bloating things before election. I'll take you back, Mrs. Hood, to 2008. Up to today is the driest year we've ever had for this century, and probably for 30 years or more. But would you believe, in that driest of dry seasons in 2008, before the elections, the budget for debushing burst by June, nothing to cut. And interestingly, the debushers got an increase that year when there was no bush, because it was an election year. And it's there. You go to the Met Office and find out what the rainfall was. And you can go to the figures and see that the budget was bust when there was no bush and people got an increase. So this administration has a reputation for hiking things like these on the eve of an election with the hope of winning. Well, it did not win in 2008, and it did not win this time. But I hope that the current administration will be a bit better in terms of communicating things like these, which are temporary, and alerting people before they expire, and do what we can to reduce the number of dependable people or dependent people we have in our society. Thank you very much for allowing me your time.
Thank you also, caller. Have yourself a good morning. Anything you want to respond to?
I just wanted to say to the caller that poverty exists around the world. In Canada, they have a welfare system. In the UK, they have a welfare system. In America, and these are developed countries, they do have poverty. So I'm not too sure when they keep on saying we will get rid. I have heard people in the St. George's have said there are no poor people in Grenada. I'm not too sure which island they are talking about, but I've heard them with my ears. So for him to say that we will get rid of poverty, I'm not too sure how you can do this, but if this government knows how to do it, I would congratulate them, because I think that would be an excellent idea. But poverty exists around the world. In terms of the debushing, and he said before elections, my question would be, how much did they pay these people when they got the raise? This government in office today came into office in June, and it's certain, not in January 2023, in 2022, they gave themselves $2,000 increase in salaries. They gave themselves, each one of them, once they were a minister, got $2,000, which they are not paying taxes on, but they got $2,000. Is that fair? Is this right? Ask them.
All right. Let's take another caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome. Good morning to you, caller. Welcome.
Good morning, Mr. JT, and good morning to Brenda Hood. Now, Miss Hood, you seemed very arrogant when you answered the first caller, and that's not looking nice out there. Of course, we know that's who you are. Hello, listen to me very carefully. Miss Hood, we are aware that, look at her face. Are you aware that are you going to deny it, that this 150 was temporary according to the social development people? They have it in writing there that the NNP government only had it for 6 months, although it wasn't budgeted for. And then now, why Grenada thinks so hard, which I agree, for ages? Why didn't they give that $150 a year before? When I call the radio station and ask for increase to put it to 500, when you all people say, where is this money going to come from? Brenda, how is a month before election? I want you to answer that question properly. And there is nothing that you can say. You talk about the Prime Minister said that is last year. How many times that this Prime Minister said the former Prime Minister, that this was the last run. Remember the election before. You was in Toronto with me that time. Remember when he says, remember we went to the, you know who's speaking? We went to the Friday fish day. And remember he says about he found the oil and gas and all these things. Every time before election, the election before. Remember, you was in Toronto too. He said that he budgeted $2 million something for the water, and there will be no more water problem in Grenada, and I could go on. Remember, you said that you have somebody cleaning your house for a day a week, and you can prove that they have a job. What did I say to you then? Can they go to the bank and get a loan? Remember that? And I can go on, but I'll give somebody else a chance. Miss Wood, think it over. Bye-bye.
Thank you, caller, for your contribution this morning. You want to respond to the caller? No, you don't. We can take one more call, and then we take a break and come back. Caller, good morning. Welcome.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Good morning to you.
I want to say to your guest that I have observed, I'm over 70. And I have observed that the Mitchell administration has adopted exactly the pattern of the Erigeri regime, that if you want the support of the poor, you have to keep them poor. And that's what his Mitchell regime has done over the years. He has brought a lot of Grenadians to poverty so that they can depend on the government, depend on him, and he knew why and how he win these elections. It was not just people going and vote. He knew what was given him. But this last season, God stepped in and rescued Grenada, because this time we would have been just pushed over the pit, over the precipice. So what this time was as though Grenadians saw they want him there. He know how he get in there. But this time God said, no, enough is enough. And God has brought a change for Grenada. And what I would like to advise her and her people in the party, stop turning to man. Don't depend on a man, depend on God. He is the creator. So let them just turn to God and get ready for the end of their life. Because we all will die one day. And we have to repent of our sins and get ready to meet God. Have a blessed day. God bless all of you.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much for your contribution this morning. Ms. Ford, I'm not sure if you want to respond to anything that the caller mentioned.
Well, I'm not too sure what she said anyway regarding what she said about Keith Mitchell government wants people to remain poor, because I'm not of that opinion, so I guess that's her opinion, and I'm sure that's not the case. What we have done, look at all these thousands of children who have received scholarships to go abroad. They are coming back as professionals, and these are poor people children. So I'm not too sure what this caller is talking about. And I also would like to say that I believe that the members of the New National Party believe in the Almighty, that He is the one that leads us, He's the one that guides us. And so I don't know what she's talking about. Poverty, that NNP we are the ones that keep the people in poverty. Well, if that's the case, then I believe there is a new government in office. So this government should get rid of poverty.
All right, thank you so much. Let's take that break. We're coming right back. 5 minutes or so before the top of the hour. We're coming right back. Stay with us.
Rep your colors. Hot 98 presents the 473 Colors Boat Ride. Going on Saturday, February 4th. Get your tickets now at gotofed.com for only $65. Food included. Boarding time 7 p.m. The boat sails at 7:30. Music on board by the Hot 98 DJs plus other guest DJs.
Baby, calm down, calm down.
Rep your colors on the boat, cause this one here is gonna be epic. Lock the date, Saturday, February 4th. Hot 98 473 Colors Boat Ride. Don't you miss this.
Crop
Coughs and sneezes spread diseases. So cover coughs and sneezes, please. Not with a rag or bandana. They trap germs. When you use the rag again, you put germs on your hands and everything else you touch. When you cough or sneeze, cover your mouth and nose with tissue. Throw the tissue in a bin and wash your hands afterwards. If you don't have a tissue, cough into your sleeve or elbow. Alcohol-based hand sanitizers are also effective in cleaning hands.
COVID-19 is an infectious disease caused by a new coronavirus introduced to humans for the first time. It is spread from person to person, mainly through the droplets produced when an infected person speaks, coughs, or sneezes. These droplets can land in the mouths or noses of people who are nearby. These droplets are too heavy to travel far in the air. They only travel approximately 1 meter and quickly settle on surfaces. This is the reason person-to-person spread is happening mainly between close contacts. The exact time that the virus can survive on surfaces is not yet known, so it is wise to
Hey, welcome back, viewers and listeners this morning to The Point for today, Tuesday. We have approximately 5 minutes left on this morning's program. And we do have for you the representative of the new National Party, that's Ms. Brenda Hood, and she's the chairperson of the women's arm of the new National Party. And so a question I would like to ask in terms before we go to wrap this program up this morning. The National Democratic Congress has been in power for the last couple of months. Is there anything that you yourself on a personal level think that they have gotten, anything that they have gotten right for their being in government?
You know, they have only been in office for a short while. So in my opinion, it's still early to determine what they have done that, you know, that is right. But most importantly, they did in their campaign had said they would pay gratuity, and I believe that was done.
All right. So you are certainly happy for that in terms of the
well, the persons who got it, yes, you know, I guess they would. I'm not too sure if they're spending it or it's in the banks. I don't know, but at least you know they did say that they will do this, and apparently it was done.
All right. We still entertaining a couple of your phone calls, 435-2041. We still can probably accommodate with the time that we have allotted. We probably could take 2 more calls, and we take a wrap in terms of the call-in segment this morning. Let's go to the phone line and entertain this caller. Caller, good morning and welcome.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning to you, caller.
Good morning to Mr. Sood. I sit here and listening to your passion with love for the women of this country, and that's very good. But I just want to ask you, did Mr. Terry Forrester's wife was a different woman in this country? I remember, and I would cherish that thought for the rest of my life. I remember Mr. Terry Forrester and his wife give your government over 33 years service. And that man had a problem with his wife. Sick, he come on national radio and TV and say to the nation that the doctor gave his wife 6 months leave. But he's still going over, traveling with her overseas to get the treatment. And he go to the Prime Minister and ask him for the passport he have sitting at the desk. And he refused. And all of Hollywood's women sit with him there. Sit with the Prime Minister and never give him an encouragement to say, look, this woman and this man give us 33 years of service in this party. Do better than that and help him with the passport. And I sit in Grenada here and hear all you say nothing about that. That hurt my heart to know what happened to his wife, Terry. What could happen to any one of these women? How do you feel about this situation? Thank you.
Thank you very much, caller, for your contribution this morning. We have 2 minutes before we wrap. And the closing comments you want to make, Ms. Hood, before we take a wrap this morning?
Just to say that I think it was a good show this morning, and we are heading into Independence next week, Tuesday. And I wish the nation and everyone here in Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique a blessed Independence Day and all the best for the rest of the year.
All right. I also want to thank you for being on the program this morning. A little bit of short notice, but you did pop in, and thank you so much for your contribution that you made. All the best for the rest of the day, and happy advanced independence to you also.
Thank you.
All right.
Same to you.
Hey, folks, that's where we come to the end of To The Point for today, Tuesday, the 31st day of January. Folks, you could join me again tomorrow for another edition of To The Point. All the best, folks. Have yourself a great day, what's left of it.